Hi folks, haven't shot a video in a while. I just want to give you an updated tour of my workbench. Really got to get the YouTube inspiration back. It's kind of lacking. I've been doing some shop projects, but just haven't had the motivation or really time to edit video and post it. I'll show you a few of the projects that I've got video for that I'll be uploading as soon as I get a chance to edit it. But really I just wanted to kind of rekindle the motivation and share some of the things that I'm doing in my shop that I know a few of you subscribe to see, and I promise to do those updates. So the normal disclaimer kind of applies. I'm shooting this with my camera, so it's really not the best of video quality. This is my table saw. It's got outfeed slots cut into the main part of the workbench to allow things to go through all the way through the blade and runners to go into those outfeed cuts. I try to keep everything really within an arm's reach of where I use it, so I keep my crosscut sled stored right on there. Same thing, safety glasses and hearing protection normally live right on my table saw. I keep accessories like push sticks and other inserts, spare blades, dado stack right next to the saw where I can use it. Eventually I'd like to make permanent storage in the form of a drawer or other shelves that live right near the table saw. This is where my planer sits for now. I pull it out when I need to use it and put it up on some saw horses. Eventually I'm going to build a mount for it. That's actually kind of like a drawer where the planer slides out from under the workbench and raises up a little bit so I can run boards through it. Here's where I'm going to build in a router table. I'm kind of excited about having that. It's a real pain to get my table router out to run trim and things through it right now, and I really need a permanent home for that, because I like to do, even on small shop projects, I like to do quarter round on things and just to smooth it out and give it a more professional look. This is where my miter saw is built in. I really love having just a level surface to support cutoffs and the workpiece. I may even do a fence with a stop block. A little shout out to Jay Bates and his miter saw station. This is kind of also similar to the Ron Polk Total Station, where they have fences on the outfeed table so you can establish a stop block or just have repeatable cuts. But I love this miter saw. Here's my drill press mount. I'm not going to do a video of that. I have a video in editing for just how to undermount a chop saw to any workbench. I think that's useful to see how I did it, and there's a lot of other people that have done it too. But my drill press is just kind of a box platform. It's somewhat of a torsion box, so it can resist the downward force from a drill press. But similar to the table saw, I try to keep all my bits and accessories, also my cordless drills, all within all within a working distance from where I'm going to grab it and use it. I keep all my fasteners and screws handy there too, so I can just grab them and go. Here's my bandsaw. I have the kerf of the bandsaw actually in line with the table saw blade. Now it's over 8 feet away from the table saw, so I have to be running a 10 or 12 foot board through to even be concerned about running into the bandsaw. But if I am concerned about it, it's also mounted on a French cleat system there, so it can actually pick right up off of there and be set on the ground if I have to run something really wide and long through the table saw. It's also got a level outfeed with the main surface of the workbench. I really like the way this bandsaw has been mounted, and it helps me optimize or really maximize the use of this tiny little bandsaw. It's got quite a bit of torque, and I have it tuned up though. I'm pretty happy with how it cuts. Here's my shop vac. I keep it right on the cart and then plug it into the dust port, so you can see the dust port on the bandsaw right there. Sometimes I'll plug it in, but right now I have it plugged right into the table saw because that's generally what I go to first when I'm making cuts. I can also plug right into the out feed of the miter saw, but I'm sure most of you know those things throw dust all over the place, and having a shop vac hooked up to it really doesn't cut down on that too much. I've got some plans to try to upgrade the dust collection on that miter saw. I'd like to do a video on it because I think it could be really helpful, and I anticipate pretty good effects from that dust collection. But eventually I'm going to wire a couple outlets underneath this workbench. one of my big issues right now is I gotta bring power out from the garage and then plug in each machine as I'm gonna use it, and the shop vac, and it's just really it's not a major issue, but it's kind of an inconvenience to be unplugging and plugging in tools all the time as I transition from one thing to another. Just kind of an annoyance that I'd like to solve by permanently wiring the workbench. Same thing, when I get around to doing that, I'm also going to run dust collection central to the entire underside of the table, and then I'll do custom dust collection at literally every tool. So I'll have it permanently attached to the bandsaw and around the drill press and chop saw. I'd even like to do a little overhead run of small PVC. I think it was Woodworking magazine that did like an overhead dust collection tube for palm sanders and disc sanders and things. And that way it keeps the cords. Oh, it'll also have electricity up there too. Keeps the cords and the hose for your dust collection out of the way of like sanding on a flat surface. There's my router. I just keep it stored underneath right now, and then I have a plunge router that I just keep somewhere other than on this cart. But really, that's basically it. Some clamp storage. Eventually, when I get all the tools permanently mounted, the next thing I'll be doing is adding storage. I kind of keep a lot of my tools off to the side there in the garage, and I keep this thing stored in a single bay of our garage, and then when I need to use it, I pull it out. So anyhow, pardon the video quality. I know it's kind of crappy, but like I said, I just wanted to shoot another video real quick and give you guys an update on how the workbench is coming. Last time you saw this workbench, it was mostly really a concept and a few drawings. It ended up being a little longer than I wanted or had originally planned, because I was going to mount each of the machines kind of into the tabletop, but I decided it was best to actually just kind of mount them on the outsides of it for the most part. That gave me, you can see I can cross cut a full sheet of plywood through my little tiny table saw there, and I could even cut up to I think something, what was it, 60 some odd inches long by as wide as my table saw can handle, before I run into an interference with the miter saw. And I just haven't had any issues at all with this setup the way it is. And you can also notice all the runs of the long tools, to include what will be the router and the planer when they're mounted, are all parallel. So in theory, I could park this thing in a garage and bring stock in through the garage door and actually use it inside also. Typically I just work outside with it, kind of keeps the dust down until I get my dust collection set up. But you know, as you're setting up your shop, I think that's one of the main things you should consider, is just keeping all the runs of all your tools in line. It really maximizes the usage of all the tools. And you can see that workbench itself is only 40 inches wide, and the full width of it is probably 58 or 60 inches with the tools sticking out from it. So I hope you gain some information for your shop, and if you like what I'm doing, go ahead and subscribe, and I'll keep adding to this, and I'll try to keep you updated as I add tools and jigs and fixtures and storage. And just, you can see how I'm working with a minimal amount of space and trying to maximize what I can do with my tools. And they're all benchtop tools. Which is why I'm naming my channel Benchtop. So if you like what I'm doing, stick around, and I look forward to hearing from you.